Great.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Empowercast with JB and Live Exceptional. Today, I'm super thrilled to have one of my very good friends, Lynn Stoops. She's on the other side of Canada in a little bit warmer weather, she's telling me, but Lynn is one of those amazing women that really inspire you and motivate you, that every time I've been with her and met with her, she's just a wealth of wisdom. She really touches my heart. She's really doing some exceptional things. Lynn, welcome to the show. Say hello to our viewers.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you.
Awesome. What I'll tell you about Lynn is she has some pretty exceptional things. I always ask people what's sort of exceptional that you've been doing in the last 12 months. Well, Lynn and I met in Barcelona. She was there doing a 1-month sort of immersion of self-growth, self-healing, self-awareness, and really meeting with some other global leaders. And that was a 30-day immersion excursion in Barcelona that she did last year. She's also currently working on her new book. She is writing this amazing book of awesomeness. What's the title, darling?
It's called Awesomeness Now, Leader Teacher Blueprint. Make a difference one step at a time.
What a great title. And we're going to talk more about her book later. And I think one of the neatest things she's done in the last 12 months is she got to interview one of those iconic actors in Hollywood, John Travolta. So let's start there because that's the juicy one. How did that all come to be?
Well, I actually was asked to do it. They were going to have 2 Canadians that were going to interview him. And so I said, hey, I'm up for that. And I was already going to be out with Nichols for the Global Leadership Program at the time. So San Diego to Anaheim, half-an-hour train ride was perfect. And it was the same weekend. So I said, hey, I can do that. And they said, okay, we think that you're the type that can actually ask him more than, oh, what's it like to be in Hollywood? So that's what I did. And I had a great interview with him. It's the 2 minutes or so of the clip is on the website for me and on Facebook as well. But I asked him, I said, John, knowing what you know now at 63, what can you do today to increase your level of personal influence and engagement in the world?
Wow, what a great question.
Yeah.
I bet no one's asked him that in a while.
No. And he kind of sat back and he looked at me and he said, whoa. I said, every child is born with a seed of greatness. And some of us don't find that until later on because we're so busy looking at the weeds and what other people are distracting us with that we never really find our true power. We just go along to get along, and whatever we have to do to fit in and conform, we do. And that doesn't help us to really have influence and engagement. So he kind of sat back in his chair and he said, and then he gave me his answer. So that was really good. And you could hear there were 1,800 people there watching in the crowd. And you could hear them go, oh, when I asked the question.
So can you paraphrase a little what his answer was?
Yeah, he said, every day I deal with people that say no. And he said, after a while, he said, I just shut that off. And he says, I really believe and hold in a place of power and influence my vision for what it is that I want to take out to the world. And if it doesn't match, I don't do it. And if they are not in alignment with what I want to do because their values are different, I just hang up the phone and leave them. So he said, I adjust every day because I can't keep hanging up the phone. I actually have to influence them instead of getting my own way. And so that was pretty terrific, I thought.
Wow. What I love is there was no gentle movement into this conversation, boom, you just hit it with so much power. And I have always said that for years and years and years. And when I was little or younger, in my younger years, I thought it was a bit arrogant or coy, but I'd always say there's no such thing as no. There's no such thing as no. And people would take offense to it. And I didn't mean it from a place of rudeness. I just meant it that that's your no. And that's maybe a no for you. It doesn't mean it's a no for me. And just because I got a no at this point, it just means, course correct, shift, new alignment and go for the yes in another direction.
Yeah.
Love that he said that.
And I think when you actually do that, I look at it to say, I don't like rejection either, but it's a matter of getting the no's out of the way so you get to the yes. And life is practice. You have to put yourself out there in a certain extent. Even I'm a bit of an introvert, actually. That's why I like to write and it just kind of audio streams for me. I don't have to make it up. It just kind of comes to me. And it's like, when I start to write, it flows. And I'm really thankful for that, because I really think that's a gift. And, you know, there was a time in my life when I didn't work that way. I would just tell people what to do. And I'd say, you know, if you just do what I tell you, I won't have to boss you around, you know. And then I'd laugh and they'd say, yeah, we get it. Because it's with the passion and the intention that you have on the path that you see. And I would say to them, here's step 1, step 56, step 95. Here's the time box. You figure out the details. I don't need to know, but just tell me if you think that you can actually do this or not.
Yeah, and that is so beautiful. I just want to rewind a little bit for our viewers, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that may be saying to themselves, you know, JB, Betty, Lynn, I'm not where you guys are at. You know, interviewing John Travolta is just like not even on my radar. And if it was on my radar, that's way over here. I'm way over here. So let's talk for a minute. How do we get from this point to this point to this point to this point? What was the steps that you took to get you to, you know, that moment, that accolade that you've just achieved? Can you share a little bit of some of the things some of the people watching this can be like, I can grok onto that right now?
Yeah. So in my book, and it's actually being launched on Amazon tomorrow at noon.
Hey!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm really happy with it. It's about, it's 216 pages written. Then I have QR codes with another 25 files that are on the website, because not everybody wants to go through the level of detail and get into the weeds too much, and other people love it. So I kind of did that in an interactive way. But for me, the most important thing is that you really need to find out who you are. You know, it's not about what you do doesn't define you. What you do, sometimes you just fall into it because life leads you down a path and someone offers you a job and you turn your head, and for a moment, and 30 years later, you're still following that path. Or your parents say, oh, there's been generations of doctors in the family or whatever, or running your own business. And so you are honed by those influences to do it. So when you really sit back and you really look at how people are running around in the world looking for things. I wasn't looking for John Travolta or the interview, but I was in the right place and the right space, and I was open to receive it at the right time. So sometimes those things happen. I don't consider them luck, but I think that preparation meets opportunity.
100%, 100%. And so I'm sure, and many people may relate to this. I mean, years ago, not that many years ago, you know, lying in bed, unhappy, you know, crying in a puddle, life was traumatic. Who am I? Who am I? What am I? What do I do? I just completely, all those questions were just a big black void. And again, you know, I tell my viewers all the time, it wasn't that many years ago where I wasn't where I am today. It just took a lot of work and effort to get there. But for those people who are just in that moment where I was in, you know, I have no idea who I am. I literally have spun around in this world being somebody, and it hasn't worked out till now. So I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
Steps for that?
Sure. So in the book at the beginning, I've got it divided into 3 sections, but one of the chapters I have is, you know, what are you going to do with your one and only life? And do a quick life inventory on where you are now. Because there's nothing to say that your life purpose isn't to be a mom or a teacher or whatever that is. But frankly, those are all labels. So when you get down into what really drives you, what are you avoiding, even unconsciously, and what are the things that you use as a defense mechanism? When you understand that, and then you look at your values and you say, what's really important to me? Can I write my manifesto regardless of any labels or jobs or opportunities or lack or abundance or any of those things? What's really important to me? What are my non-negotiables in life? You know, so for me, leadership was a natural thing. I've kind of done it since I've been very young, because of the way I was brought up. My parents were in the ministry. So you de facto, or you're doing it too. You're leading by the time you're 12 or 13. But, you know, then you have to sit back and say, who am I really? And how do I really want to influence the world? How am I going to live with integrity to really shine through 24/7? That is non-negotiable. Whatever situation I'm in, wherever I am, I'm not aggressive. but I don't back up well. So values are really important, and you really need to decide what are your values, not what are the values of the tribe, not what are the values of your parents, but what is it that you really value in life now? And then once you start and unpack that, and you see some of the limiting beliefs that you've put in place, you can start and edge forward, because there is a passion in you that will help to grow that seed of greatness. And you don't have to share it and go out there and wave the flag and say, hey, I'm going to do this. You don't need to do that. What you need to do is to start to grow that little seed so that it actually bursts through the layer of dirt, which are all the lies and all the resentment and the things that we've kind of, taken a shovelful or a spoonful of dirt every time we suck something back and we hold it inside and we say, that person hurt me or this or that happened. But you're not your story from the time you were a child, and your body just got bigger.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, a lot of times we get really attached to who we have been or who people think we are. I go through that all the time. People be like, well, that's so JB. And I'll be like, that's the old JB. That's the 2000 JB, or that's the old version of JB. And I almost have to update people of who I am, because so many people will keep me stuck in the older version of me, and I'm evolving. And I think it takes a lot of courage to say, that's the, I even said, just to my partner a couple days ago, I'm like, I'm ready for the 3.0 version of JB. So the updating the version of who you are. Now, a lot of times, even with my kids, for example, my son will say something to me like, Mom, I want to be an NHL hockey player. And I'll say to him, and why do you want to do that? And you see his little mind, worrying, busy worrying, like, why do I want to do that? And it's really neat when you ask yourself the why, if you're not sure who you are or what you're about, and then you dial into something, then going back and saying, and why is it I want that? Why do I want to bring that to the planet? And I think that really helps us get grounded and outside of what it says in magazines and what the neighbors are doing or what your sister's doing or your friend is doing, to get centered about what you're doing. And can we talk about the why? I mean, a lot of people say, well, I don't know my why.
Yeah. And so part of that is, we have our head where we spend most of our life. Then we've got our heart. There are 5,000 times the synapses in your heart than there are in your brain. 5,000 times. Synapses. And we often do a heart bypass. We say, okay, I think this, therefore I'm going to do that. Then your gut has got 1 million more neurons in your gut than your spinal column. So when you think about that, if you can have your intelligence of your head, your heart, and your gut in alignment, you're operating on all cylinders, because we're not just a bag of bones. We are connected with something much bigger than us. Opportunities come because you have to take baby steps from where you are. So you look at that and you say, okay, some people, they monetize it. But you know what? Most people that win the lottery, they lose it within a year because they don't believe they deserve it. They don't believe they get to keep it. They are afraid they're going to lose their friends, or they give it all away because they're trying to buy that friendship and that belonging. And it's not about image. It's about being. Then it's about doing. But being and just being a dreamer and not taking any action gets you nowhere. Being asleep and being unaware of just kind of coasting through life and looking at the news and saying, isn't that terrible? Don't even go there. Like, when you look at something like some of the drastic things that I don't even want to get into, but when you look at that, you need to say, how is it that I can then contribute towards the goodness for the teachers, for the students, for my children? How do I teach them how to stand in that power that's not force, so that they are calm and collected, and no matter what happens to them, they're not going to do foolish things, but we hope. But at the same time, they're going to be able to find their own way. Like, if your son wants to be a hockey player and he's really good at it and he's passionate about it and he wants to do that, then great. But it doesn't mean he's going to quit school. It means he's going to do that as his hobby. But our life is more than our hobby. So really, to find your purpose, just start with, why am I here? What am I doing besides living a routine that goes through life, right? So when you look at some of the great questions that are in the book, because I really did it as a journal workbook for you, when you work through that yourself or with a coach or with me or whatever, you look at that as an exceptional person to say, I can become the exceptional woman that or a man that I want to be in life. It's not impossible. And I am going to stop listening to the good opinions of others about me.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to build my own framework. And I'm just going to work on that a little bit at a time, you know?
Yeah, I know, like a lot of people get nervous when I use the word exceptional. Live Exceptional, the name of this program and what I'm teaching is really a trigger for a lot of people, because the word exceptional has a lot of demands. For example, people have said to me, like, I don't know if I can live exceptional. And we're really here, me and Betty Lynn and all the people on this show, to talk to you about exceptional is your definition. What you consider exceptional is entirely up to you. It's not what's on a magazine. It's not what's on a commercial. It's not what, some celebrity is doing, or some, that could be exceptional, but that may not be your exceptional. I have met so many people who are exceptional at teaching kids, or exceptional at helping other people work through their problems, or exceptional at caring for animals, or exceptional of bringing corporations together, or ideas together, or raising money for charity. There are so many definitions of exceptional, and we really want you to find yours, your unique signature. And you talk a little bit about that.
Yes, I do. So when you look at your unique signature, I'll just give you an example. Actually, I coached about 2 people a day when I was in Barcelona. And as you know, I had a 90-minute teaching segment where I taught people the basics of working with who you are. So one young woman, she came to me after and she said, excuse me, she said, listen, I'm really nervous. I said, why? And she said, well, I'm really a perfectionist. And I said, mm-hmm. She says, I'm an architect. Mm-hmm. I hate it. Mm-hmm. And I'm an artist. Mm-hmm. And I do huge painting. She pulled it up on her phone and showed me. But she said, my parents want me to keep my architectural business. She's like a young 30-something. I said, okay. So after we coached her for about an hour or so, now she's in school. Because I said to her, I look at that painting and then I look at what you're showing me on the architecture side. You could take that landscape, that map, and you could actually paint that, because you're telling me that landscapes and the urban area that people live in is super important to you. So how can you combine that and become the artistic architect? She's back in school. She's doing environmental architecture. She already has a job placement in Spain. So they've already put through the legal paperwork so that they can hire her when she's done school. And her parents are thrilled, because now she's doing something that actually adds to the environment in a positive way. She is actually influencing the field of architecture, and she's painting on the weekends, and they're being sold in galleries.
Yeah, and she's probably, exponentially increasing her work output, because she's doing it from a place of passion. She's doing it from a place of love. And that is one thing I talk about too. Like, it isn't black or white. It's not all or none. You may have a job right now. You may have a career. You may have something that's going really well for you financially and great for your family. And there's this other side of you that, is what you love and what you're really connected to. And Betty Lynn said it perfectly. How can we bring that together so you're doing what you love in conjunction with what really works for you and your family?
I talked to a lawyer, actually. I think, well, she's in law. I'm pretty sure she's a lawyer in Croatia yesterday. And I was asking her, will you post the link for the launch of the book? And she said, absolutely. And then she said, do you think I can be in leadership? And I said, doesn't matter what I think. Do you think you can be in leadership? And she was looking at it as either or. And I said to her, how can you add value as an honorable woman in leadership with the skills and the knowledge and the function you already have? Because obviously law is not something that's whimsical that you just pick up and decide today you're going to be a lawyer. You've put a lot of work and effort into it. How can you use that for the overall good of society, for you and all those connected to you, and demonstrate leadership for young women, for young people, whoever it is that you're interested in helping, or seniors, or whatever it is. And she sat back and she said, I can do both, can't I? And I said, mm-hmm. We all can.
Absolutely. We all can. And I coached a client who wouldn't make a decision because she felt that if, as soon as she made a decision, she was like tied to it for eternity. And I kept having to coach her to say, make a decision for now in this direction. And then whenever you feel ready to shift and you've obtained more information and you've gained more knowledge, you can shift again. No one's going to hold you, verbatim to your decision, locked in. You're stuck for 20 years. I mean, I think some people get really nervous about making a decision because they feel like they're absolutely committed to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the familiar is it gets us sucked in, just like the tribe does. You stay here, you work in this company, you actually adopt the values of the company, and they become your own, and you set your own aside because now that becomes your life. And then you have to kind of take back your power, and you have to say, I can still work for the company. I still can do all of this in integrity. Obviously I'm in integrity, or I wouldn't have been here for this long. But there's something more for me. So in the book, I give a lot of my examples of what I think people can do to create talent co-ops of intergenerational things. Imagine these young people that have got master's degrees and they can't get a job, and they have all this student debt. Well, why can't you work together on a passion project with a nurse that's retired who would love to get the incubators out of the sick kids hospital basement, because we're not having as many kids here, and ship them to Ghana to the nursing station? And by the way, they need solar and they need all the stuff to make it work so that they can actually work with it there. Would you be willing to work on a project like that for 16 weeks? And then I can give you a piece of paper, or someone can, that says, Mark worked on this as a project manager for 16 weeks as employment. He showed up every day. He did this. He worked with intergenerational people. Here's his work experience. Mm-hmm. We need to be able to get a hand up as well as a hand out. What if we could get retired teachers and someone, JB, this is a great business idea for somebody, and just get them a government contract to say, our mandate is to get every child from the age of 6 to 13 that's having a difficult time in school to a C+. No more. Get them through the basics. Mm-hmm. And you do one-on-one. So if you're going to teach them fractions and you're going to teach them what quarters are, you take an apple, you cut it in half, and you say, what's that?
Right.
And you cut it in a quarter, and then you give that as a kid's homework,
Yeah. And, so I love when you feel energy and you feel energized, so many great ideas come to you. So let's just go again to those people who are like, JV, Betty Lynn, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed with what you're saying because I can't even think of Ghana because I can't even, get out my front door. Yeah. And so let's just talk for a moment to those people who are just really in overwhelm. Getting groceries is tough for them. Getting their own kids a C+ is difficult versus how can they help an entire city? Yeah. How can we give people some inspiration right now today of some things that they can do right in their own home, in their own confines, in their own, with their own limitations that they have to start breaking free and opening up, their view scope? Yeah.
So one thing to do is to relax. It's not all about you. It is about how you live in the world. So if you need to be able to pull back and say, you know what? I want to be able to go outside because I lock myself in my condo, I stay in, I don't socialize and all that stuff for whatever reason. You need to sit back and just relax, do a little meditation and just say, whatever is for the highest and good to me today, show some gratitude. We spend so much time in lack and what's wrong, and we keep asking and asking and asking, but we're not open to receive because we're afraid. So if we can let go of that fear, courage comes before confidence. And it's self-confidence, right, that you have to have.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we're in bad situations and we don't want anybody to know. And it can be because we don't have the work we need, we don't have the income we need, the cost of living is too high, we're in bad relationships, or whatever it is. You know what? You have the power to stand in your power that is not force, that comes from a connection of saying, I'm going to ask for this. I am going to write down 3 little things that I'm going to do every day, and then I'm going to divide them in 3 so that it's not so big. It's like, I have to learn how to get on Facebook. I need to learn how to do this or do that, something technology. I need to get my kids out to school in the morning. So what do I have to do? Well, I need to get them in bed by 9 o'clock or whatever the time is. I can't get up in the morning. Well, maybe I need to set a time where I go to bed at the same time every day and I get up. And when I get up, my goal is going to be to say, it's another great day. Because every day above ground is a good day. Every day we can breathe. Every day we have mobility. Every day that we have the ability to think on our own and we have our health, that's what we need. So start there. If you are eating junk food and you're not feeding your body and your soul and you're watching all this negative stuff on TV, turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I think we can absolutely, I concur with you. There are so many small little things that you can do. First of all, I tell people, stop looking at where you're not and look where you've come from. So there's so much movement that has happened to you from, if you look behind you and see where you've come from the last 6, 12, 18, 24 months, 24 years, how far you've come in life.
Yeah.
And as Betty Lynn said, take 3 things that you can do today, 3 small things that you can accomplish that will actually help you. And it's not 50 things, it's just 3 things. And even if it's not 3 things that you do, how about 3 things that you eliminate? For example, no more news. You get off social media. I heard something the other day, like people wake up and they get on their phone and their Facebook and instantly they want to stay in bed because they see all the things that their friends are doing and all the vacations and all the great things. And that's such a microcosm of the planet. You're seeing, 20 examples of what 20 people are doing, and there's 2 million other people who aren't doing that. So get off your Facebook. That's pretty easy. Turn off the news. That's pretty easy. Eat an apple and go for a walk. That's pretty easy. And those are things that you can do right now today to help you feel better. And as Betty Lynn said, meditation, and I am all for breathing. Big breath, lots of oxygen, fill your body up, fill your body up with fuel. Yeah, those things help.
And when you do that, one of the key questions that I ask is, and I ask you to do this every day. First of all, the gratitude thing is very important. People that are in negative space often say, oh, that's just so Pollyanna, I'm not going to do that. I got to tell you, every day I get up, before I get up, I wake up and I say, it's going to be a great day today. I start to write my journal entry, and the first thing I write is, it's a great day today, another wonderful day. No matter how I feel, no matter what's going on, it's going to be a great day, because your attitude is more important than your aptitude, okay? It doesn't matter what your IQ is. It doesn't matter what your education is. But your attitude, man, that speaks wonders, okay? So one of the questions that I ask is, what inhabits your life that inhibits your growth?
What inhabits your life that inhibits your growth? Beautiful.
Yeah, it could be your routine. It could be the people, are you blaming your lack of growth on the people you hang out with? Are you blaming it on your family or your friends, or that I've got kids and a dog and 2 cars and blah, 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 and a paycheck that is not as big as my Visa bill? That is not where you want to be. You want to look at that, and you want to look at it rationally. And then you want to say, okay, I'm a smart person. I got myself here. Now I can get myself to the next level of where I want to be. What is the plan that I'm going to do? And when you think about just doing, some people have trouble sitting still, right? But when you can actually put your feet on the ground, one of the exercises is it's very energetic, JB, so you would like this. You go up on your heels or up on your toes, and then you just drop back on your heels. It's called dropping the post. What that does is it realigns your lymphatic system, okay? So I go drop on my heels, and I go, I'm grounded. And I go like this in front of my gut, and I go, I'm strong, wise heart, open mind, free to be me.
I love it. Once again, do it again.
Okay, I'm grounded, I'm strong, wise heart, open mind, free to be me. And you bring it back to your heart. So what you're doing is energetically, you are aligning yourself. You do that 3 times every morning. You do that 3 times in the bathroom before you go into a meeting or a conversation that you're not so great about. You do that, and you're going to go in there and you are going to find your courage. Courage is not force. Courage is not confidence, but it builds it. Courage, all it has to do is last 20 seconds longer than your fear. To pick up the phone, to smile at somebody, to say hello, to build a little bit of a network socially. And when I say that, I don't mean online, I mean in person. We lack this face-to-face now. And so people then, they get intimidated when they're in a group. And people that are extroverts, like JB, who is wonderful with people, She can just go and talk to everybody in like 30 seconds, and she can cover a room of 200 in like less than an hour. And everyone's been touched by JB. They all know her name. They all know her because she smiles at them. She connects differently with every person because she meets them where they are. Okay?
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
And that's so important. I mean, that's what we need to do. See, look at the difference between JB and me. Okay? We're completely different people. We're both completely in our power, and we communicate with that. So don't be afraid of that. Don't try to be somebody else. Just be the best that you can be. And if you want to be able to meet people where they are, and you want to do it in a way that's you, because for you it's the authentic you that shows up that way, and you feel comfortable that way, then you do that, because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for, are you authentic, or are you trying to do something or be someone that they don't really trust? Because trust is the biggest thing that you can have as a compliment. And even over love, trust is one of the most important elements we can all have if we're going to build our own little world where we live in an honorable way.
Yes, it's beautiful. What you said is so magnificent, and you know, we could talk for hours. I know we could, and I hope all of you have enjoyed so much what Betty Lynn has shared. I want to keep talking, even on a personal level, with her. Like, hey, did you know this? And hey, I want to tell you this. And hey, let's share with you. And things that she says to me, I'm like, oh, I'm going to tell someone that, or oh, I'm going to talk to my kids in a minute about that. The things that she shares are so powerful. And so, Betty Lynn, tell us again about the book so we can all have our eyes open for it.
Thank you. It's called Awesomeness Now, Leader Teacher Blueprint.
And it's on Amazon?
It's on Amazon everywhere.
Where
and
can
the launch
we get it from you directly? Sorry, can we get it from you directly?
You can. I have some copies that I've ordered, and so my niece, who's running my website for me, she's put it up on the homepage so that you can see what's there.
Tell us your website.
It's leaderteacher.com.
Yeah.
Leader-teacher.com.
And people can reach you and connect with you on a one-to-one if they want to do some personal coaching with you?
Yes, they can. They can get me through the website, or they can get me through Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. Just send me a personal IM or a personal message, and I'll get back to you directly.
And I will put up all of Betty Lynn's contacts at the end of this video so you can reach her however you like. She is a wealth of information. She is a beautiful spirit, an amazing woman. I was drawn to her immediately for her power and the incredible ownership she has of who she is in her own unique beauty. And that's really what we want you to take home today. Be you, be yourself. You are amazing just the way you are. Whatever it is you do that you love, that's what the world wants to see. So be you. Don't try to be anyone else, because you are exceptional. Love you, Betty Lynn, love you, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.